This is the 17th season of Bass Talk Live with your hosts, Mark Jeffries and Matt Pangrat. BTL is brought to you by Lowrance, Bass Cat Boats, AFCO, Ducket Fishing, Strike King Lures, Sunline, Big Bite Baits, Spro, X-Zone Lures, Yamagatsu, The Bass Tank, and Denali Rods. BTL coming at you. Good Wednesday, everybody. Welcome once again to another edition of BTL Bass Talk Live, where Matt and I are going to talk bass fishing and anything else that we want to talk about. Matthew, how you doing?
Good. We have a young gun on the show today, Mark. He's like,
yeah.
I mean, we did what? We've done Hackney, veteran. KVD, veteran. Andy Montgomery, veteran.
Christie,
veteran. And now we got a rookie.
Yeah.
But he seems like he's got his stuff together. I don't know him. Don't personally know him. Come one of those collegiate rank guys who rooms with the other collegiate rank guys who just next level.
Yeah.
Not like Jordan Lee level, but close.
Yeah.
As far as
we'll get into that.
Dominating.
We'll get into that.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, KJ Queen from his tackle shop, right, Mark?
Yeah, interesting story. He'll fill us in on all the details on that. It's not a true retail outlet, but they do a lot of stuff online, him and his dad. And interesting story on his dad, too.
Yeah, won the co-angler side of the Angler of the Year in 2020 in the Opens. What I'm looking in the queue here on the screen that we look at, you know, where the guests pop up.
Mm-hmm.
We're continuing the trend of BTL Basketball Talk Live. It appears as though you're going to play some sort of basketball clip.
Did you not? Dude, you're the social media czar. How often do I make a post on social media? Maybe once every 5 years?
I have no idea. I know you have about... Because to get into the BTL Facebook account, I have to log. You know, it's logged into your personal account. I know you have roughly 700 pending friend requests.
Just don't do it. All right. So last night, and for those people, hey, you can turn the volume down. You can do whatever you need to do. If you don't want to hear about the next 5 minutes,
you're going to talk about it for 5 minutes.
It's pretty epic, dude.
That's a third of the opening segment.
It's pretty epic. You did not see the BTL Facebook page last night, then?
No. You see what people are doing? They're going down in the comments and commenting when the actual fishing start. Like, hey, for those of you who know, the fishing stuff starts at 7 minutes.
That's one guy. Look, if you don't want to hear about stuff that's important in our personal lives, I think that's really what makes this show different. All right? There's a lot of stuff that goes into this show. There's a lot of stuff that's very important to me in my old age. But last night, dude, I got pressured. I got pressured by my players to actually make a social media post. Why? Why would they do this, Matthew?
About poor officiating?
No.
Oh.
No. Last night, went up against the number 5 team in the state, in their house. 6'8", 6'7", 6'5", can shoot the ball lights out. And we went into their house. All right, let me just say this. Bedlam. Hopefully people out there know what Bedlam is.
That's OU versus OSU.
That's what this was last night. All right, there is a serious rivalry in every sport. It doesn't matter. Even the bands can't stand each other from these two schools. Tuttle and Blanchard, right next to each other. Massive rivalry. We already beat them once. All right, we're ranked 15th. They're ranked 5th, but we've beat them, and there's all kinds of discussion could take place about the ranking system. But anyway.
Oh, I feel like you might go into it. You want to vent on the rankings?
Because I'm going to wait till the rankings come out next Monday to see what they do to us. All right. So we go into their house, as jam-packed a gym as we could have because of the COVID situation. And we end up kicking their tails once again in their house, 58-50. And one of the coolest things that takes place when you get a victory, there's two things. One, when the student section starts cheering, and I quote, just like football, just like football, just like football.
Oh, because you beat them in football?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. And it was at a decibel that was amazing for the number of students that we had there because of COVID. They were loud. I mean, they were really, really loud. And then the second thing is the bus ride back to our gym. So what I did last night, because it was pretty much insanity on the bus on the way home, I took a picture of the team in the bus and I posted it. I said, look, I know this isn't fishing, but when you beat the number 5 team in the state, the bus ride home, it's pretty cool.
I don't think it's even a valid win unless you beat the number 1 team, Mark.
Well, we played them and we lost by 39. Right.
I'm just giving you a hard time.
So I honestly think that's the first.
Well, congratulations. I wondered why you were in such a good mood this morning, because you walked in and you were like, good morning, Matt. I think he even referred to me as Matt.
Yeah.
Which was definitely a change.
But I'm going to show a 5-second clip. It's about 5-10 seconds. The one player that Tuttle has, number 5, and I can't remember his name. He's got McBride, McWright, McSomething, I think is what
McStick.
I don't know. He's 6'8", maybe 6'7", but he's super skinny. He's not an inside player. He shoots the 3. He'll shoot it from the logo.
Okay.
This is a saying that we use. All right. And he got a steal, and this kind of set the tone for the remainder of the game. So let me show you here. Let me get it queued up. All right, here we go.
What are they, the Tuttle Tigers?
Tuttle Tigers. It was Tigers versus... Oh, crap.
I believe that's called... Is that called an alliteration?
What's that?
It was... the 2 T's in English?
Tigers... Okay, so here it is.
What are you guys...
We go for the 3. We're in the dark uniforms. All right, 3 is no good. Oh, no. Number 5 gets a steal, and watch what happens. Rejection.
Yeah. Where are you? Go back.
Sitting on the
Can you go back?
Yeah, hang on.
I want to see your reaction. Can you zoom? You can't zoom in.
No, I don't think. Did I
Where
have a
are
reaction? I'm right.
Oh, you didn't even move. Go back.
No.
Okay, look at the left side of the screen. You'll see Jeffrey's hands. He's sitting in the classic coaching position. Watch him. Go back.
All right, here's the steal.
Watch this. This is stone cold. There's Jeffrey's. Absolutely no reaction, and the bench erupts. You did not even flinch.
I did say something to the coach that I cannot say on this.
That's like boat flipping a 6 to fill out your limit, and all you do is look at your co-angler and say, "Well, there's 5."
Yeah, I remained calm. It did that play right there, because the guy that blocked it, Cole Milan, he's only about maybe 6'2", and the dude that went in for the layup was 6'7", 6'8". So
9 minutes and 8 seconds in. If
What's
you wanted
that?
to skip the basketball talk.
Well, I am, as I always do, I'm going to turn it into bass fishing. We kind of talked about it last night, but I got a ton of feedback from that Facebook post. Now, I'm not going to go into posting on Facebook all the time, but the guys had their phones out and they were like on Instagram and Snapchat and doing all that stuff and everything. So I got pressured. Coach, tell the bass fishing world what we did. And that's what I did. So pretty crazy ride back on the bus.
Very
anyway,
cool.
Rivalries. Right? Now we got into this discussion before the show a little bit. Rivalries. That is a huge rivalry in all aspects, as I mentioned, between Tuttle and Blanchard. We've had somewhat of a discussion about rivalries in the bass fishing world. Does it happen? Are there very distinct rivalries that take place in the bass fishing world from a professional standpoint? I know there's rivalries that take place on a local standpoint. Been a part of them over the years.
Who have you been in a rivalry with?
Well, not me.
You just said you've been a part of them.
I've been involved. In other words, I've been around them.
Like you've been the mediator in a rivalry?
No, I just, I'm friends with both parties that are involved.
Oh, so you hear both sides.
Yeah.
Like, can you believe this guy did this? And then the other guy's like, that guy, can you believe he did that?
You know all the stuff that has taken place over the years at Grand Lake. You know that, Matthew.
Yeah.
So the point I want to get your opinion on is we hear so many times, doesn't matter what tour it is, so many times about how friendship and the relationship that people have with each other from a fishing standpoint creates success on both sides of the game.
Mm-hmm.
All right? When do you get to a point, especially when there's a lot of money on the line, especially when there are careers on the line, does that friendship actually kind of get impeded by competition and rivalry? In other words, does that happen, or is this such a, quote, nice professional game that people just, they're not like sharks in the water and meat's being thrown in with blood all around? What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, you know the answer.
I do not.
Yeah, you do.
I do not.
If everybody got along, no one would ever change partners.
Or roommates.
Or roommates.
Or who they trust.
Yeah.
So is that what happens when that line is crossed?
Absolutely. I mean, you got guys that have worked together forever. You have totally different levels of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you hear this. I used to be with that. You would not believe what he did then. Or, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Now, here's what happened last night. I'm tying it back to fishing, folks. All right. The head coach at Tuttle, his name's Brian Merritt. I've known Brian Merritt for probably 15, 20 years.
Okay.
And the coaching community, I'm sure it's this way all across the country. The high school coaching community, pretty tight. Kind of like the professional fishing group. I mean, very, very limited numbers of people that are involved in coaching high school basketball. During my transition, I was actually at one of the feeder schools when Brian Merritt actually coached Trey Young. And I know you're familiar with who Trey Young is.
Yes.
When he was in high school, Trey Young, that team was stacked up. Marcus Dickinson, Charlie Kolar, name ring a bell? Tight end for Ohio State?
No.
All-American?
No.
Really?
No.
I thought you were an OU football fan. I guess not. You should know
you
who
said
Charlie
he was a tight end for
I know,
Ohio
you should
State?
know who Charlie Kolar is because he got out of the backyard in Norman and went to Iowa State instead of OU. Anyway, massively talented team. Never won a state championship. Finished second.
Okay.
Finished runner-up, I think, twice. Anyway, real good friends with him. But when we're going at it,
high school basketball over here.
When we're going at it during that game, there is no friendship.
Really?
I mean, we're staring each other down. We're trying to pick off what he might be doing in the huddle. A lot of strategy involved. All right, no film sharing, none of that going on. I mean, that's how bitter of a rivalry this is. Does this take place, and have you ever heard or seen of this type of behavior to get ahead in professional fishing? Even though off the court,
yeah, but I mean,
mutual respect, great respect for what people have accomplished.
I don't know if I go that far, but I would say the most well-known instance of this is in a high-level tournament. Let me see how I can talk my way around this one. High-level tournament. Angler finds the nectar sector. Tells roommate, I'm on him. Roommate's not on him. Angler finds out that roommate has, in the middle of the night, gotten on that guy's unit.
Oh!
Remember this?
I do remember this.
Captured his waypoints, and on the first morning, I mean, they're rooming together.
I do remember this.
The other guy is on that guy's waypoints, and the other guy knows that he gets caught getting the waypoints off of his unit and then continues to fish that spot and may or may not have won the tournament off of those other waypoints.
This was a Tennessee River chain event, was it not?
We'll just keep it very general. It was in.
I believe it was.
It was on a lake.
It was
somewhere
on a lake.
Between New Jersey and California.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that would be stealing someone else's game plan. But I would say, yeah, like I said, there's different levels of work. And we'll ask KJ this when he comes on, because, I mean, I think he worked with John Garrett and Cody Huff, who both had incredible seasons, and how they worked it. But guys do it on all different levels. There's 100%. But here's where the problem arises, in my opinion.
Okay.
If you don't have ground rules as this is what we're sharing, this is what we're not sharing. So, like, I have worked with some guys where it's like, hey, we're going to do general patterns, but I'm not even going to ask you what area of the lake you're in, and you're not going to ask me what area of the lake you're in. Yeah. Now, that gets kind of awkward where you're talking with the guy that you're working with, and this happened this year a couple times. Mm-hmm. This happened this year a couple times where you're talking to a dude and you're like, I'm freaking on him. It's it's a shallow bite. But if you can find like an isolated area off, and then they'll hit it on a reaction bite. But yeah, man, like I caught a 5 and shook a couple 3s off. And you're talking to the phone on the guy, and he's like, okay, cool. I'll give it a shot. And literally, you're still on the phone with him, and you're idling out, and he's idling in. Mm-hmm. And then you're just like, okay. Because now he knows. You see what I'm saying there?
Yeah, but you know, and you're actually going to be a part of this. People that have worked together with people, it's kind of a weird concept because you're helping each other out, be it in whatever unique way that you are.
Right, but that's the thing. You're looking at this as a team sport where there is a win or a loss. There are multiple winners in a 225 boat tournament, Mark. Like I've said,
I need to get it checked, man. Throw me a bone.
If I'm fishing all 9 events, a top 40 is a win, a W. Yeah. I'm flying the flag at the end of that tournament. So if I'm working with Brad, and Brad stays in it, and I stay in it, even though neither of us win the tournament, we're both winners. Because it's not a black and white. It's not a one team loses, one team wins. It's a battle versus a war.
Okay.
And you can have a whole lot of winners. And that's why I think it works in fishing, because and bowling to some extent, because a lot of times you're fishing towards an end goal, towards accruing, where it helps to have other perspectives. Then it's not just like, okay, like if it was a one-on-one deal, it would be stupid to work together. But it isn't.
Do you think over time, though, that situation has caused issues?
Yeah, I just told you where it had caused issues. Yeah, absolutely it's caused issues.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that's just human nature. Find something where there aren't rivalries. I mean, you go down, like you said, go down to your local bowling alley, go to the coaches.
I know, but that's what those rivalries are kind of not at the forefront.
No, it's kind of weird in fishing, and I think it's just because, I think it's because fishing isn't big enough to have tabloid level stuff.
That's not tabloid, though.
Well,
dude, it's high school basketball. Well, it's not tabloid.
You're still on high school basketball. I'm talking about fishing.
No. I'm comparing the rivalry concept.
No, I don't.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't know. It's different. I think it's different in the fishing world. I think there are a lot of deep-seated...
is there a Hackney and Christie rivalry?
I don't know. You start talking to a lot of guys, which I hear a lot of both sides of the story just because of being in the industry for so long. And some of it's pretty screwed up. Like, that guy really screwed you over.
Yeah.
But a lot of it's just pettiness. Lack of communication is what a lot of the rivalries boil down to.
When you work together.
Yeah. No, when you work together or when a rivalry is developed.
Okay, do rivalries result a lot of times because of the situations that have taken place when guys work together? In other words, the guy gets pissed off at this guy because
and it goes south.
He said he was doing this.
Right, but I still think a lot of that comes from lack of communication.
Yeah, he lied. He wasn't honest.
Yeah. But
whatever the case was.
Poor communication.
You got to be honest. If you're going to work together, you have to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Agree?
Yeah.
I mean, even if you're... It's just a weird deal.
It's not weird if you're on the same page and you trust the guy you're working with and you know what level you're working with him. Because you know you're getting true and you know there's a line that you don't cross.
Yeah, that's not what I'm saying. It's not a weird deal. The weird deal is, I get what you're talking about, the big picture. You're trying to reach a plateau or whatever, and it's not all about the win and all that and everything, but still, this is how you're making your living.
And honestly, I think if it comes down to it where you and your buddy are in it for 1-2 to actually win the tournament, I think you shake the hand in the morning and say, I'm going to kick your ass today. And he says the same thing to you, and you go out and the guy who wins, and you congratulate it. Because if you truly have a partner and working with someone, if you don't win, don't you want to see them win? Isn't that beneficial for everybody involved?
And we're going to have him on next week, Trevor McKinney. He was the guy that went up against his team partner.
Yeah, that's a weird deal that they do in the college thing, and it's always been a weird deal, and there's no way to get around it. And yeah, they do it in the team tournament deal too. But
I mean, come on, man.
Typically,
that's a big deal.
Honestly, how that goes down, very rarely do you have team partners where both are alphas. You typically have one that kind of run like in a. I know there's some dual alphas on Grand and everywhere around, but typically you have one guy that's a little bit of more the captain of the ship, right? And I think
that's a good way.
They kind of, in those situations, maybe
defer.
Yeah, you have a guy that kind of defers, or a rivalry is born.
Could we see some rivalries this year with some of the guys going back to the Elite Series? Or is it just, yuck, 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 we're going fishing, I'm going to take all your money?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think there's rivalries. Like, I'll say, if I'm Chris Zaldane right now, I'm like, dude, I was, all the guys left, and me and Seth, and was it Drew Benton, and a couple, and Bill Lowen and stuff said, hey, we're staying. Like, yeah, man, I want to defend I want those guys to come back, and I still want to kick their butt. That went over to MLF and then came back. Like, I don't want to play second fiddle to Christie and Hackney and those guys now.
All right, would you agree or disagree with this? And then we're going to take a break, move on, come back with KJ Queen. There are definitely guys out there that flat out don't like guys that are on tour.
Yeah, that's life.
100%.
You flat out don't like me half the time I walk in the studio.
That's not true.
That's life, Mark. That's in every aspect. Yeah, absolutely.
But let me back up. That's only when they're on the water. When they get off the water, totally different situation.
No, there's some guys that hate each other off the water too.
I agree with that, man. I agree.
I've always said the best thing that would be for a up-and-coming guy who's media savvy is to pick another up-and-coming guy who's media savvy and start a public rivalry. Not tacky, not attacking their character or personality, but make
WWE.
Make the fans pick sides. Because once me and you start arguing over who's right and who's better,
everybody picks sides.
Now we're more vested in the person that we pick that side with, and we're more likely to follow them. And we have a abnormal liking to that person because now we relate to them because he's our guy and the other guy's the other guy's guy.
Yeah.
It's like the Yankees versus the Red Sox. You're a bigger Red Sox fan when they're playing the Yankees, or you're a bigger Yankees fan when they're playing the Red Sox, and you're going to go out and buy more Yankees hats if you're hanging out with the dude who's with the Red Sox and vice versa. You could do that in fishing, and I think if done smartly, properly, and somewhat genuinely, you could actually build a career based around rivalries where it's just a guy going out. Now you're checking to see if the guy who finished 50th beat the rival who finished 51st or 49th.
That's a good point, man.
But you got to do it right. You can't do it, otherwise
cheesy.
you just look like an idiot.
Yeah, cheesy. Yeah, can't do it that way. All right, two things real quick. No, Matt is not going anywhere. All right.
You thought you fired me yesterday.
No.
Just dropped me like, hey, we're doing 6 days. Good luck on the road.
No.
Hope you cash a check.
Dude, man, we had to make sure that we had people lined up when he's going on his 9 weeks of adventure. And he's still going to be checking in while he's on the road on
I need
BTL.
to have a chat with KJ because, like I said, I have never talked to him, but he did it right. He rolled in. He's fished 8 opens. He never tanked any. He had like 5 in the top 30.
Yeah.
Boom. He's out of there. On to bigger and better things.
You're getting ready to talk to him. So, last thing, thank you once again for all the congrats and stuff that showed up on Facebook. Probably be another 5
Where will you guys go? Where will your ranking lead now? You've
Should
beat
be
the
top
number
10. Got to be top 10.
You got to be above that team.
You would think.
You think it'd flip-flop?
No, I if I had to predict based upon what happened and who we play on Friday and who everybody else plays on Friday, I'd say probably number 9.
When do the rankings come out?
Monday.
Oh.
Yeah.
Tune in Monday for Jeffries to blow a gasket when
Monday
they're one
if we're
ranked
not in
one
the top
behind.
10, I will be pissed off. And I think a lot of other people will be mad too, because it's very, very important when it comes to the playoffs. All right, going to take a break. Come back with KJ
Playoffs?
Queen. Yeah, I'm talking playoffs. Be right back.
New Active Target by Lowrance.
It exceeded any and all expectations I had.
It really opened up my eyes to things that I never knew happened.
I'm not sure what kind of voodoo they've included in the software, but it's incredibly impressive.
He was messing around, just pitched a little crappie jig in there, and all of a sudden you see the jig come right down in there, and you see the fish come to it. I mean, it was like that.
It's just a complete different universe that we're taking this fishing to. There's no bass safe out there.
Active Target by Lowrance. Game on.
BassCat's legendary 20-foot platform has been paired with angler-approved accessories for 2021. Puma FTD features the proven hull used by many of the top names in bass fishing today, backed by a transferable lifetime warranty. The Puma FTD boasts a full team deck concept which enhances efficiency for you and your tournament partners. Turnkey tournament-winning performance. The Puma FTD SP from BassCat.
While I travel the country on the Bassmaster Elite Series, I simply can't let the weather be the reason I don't win $100,000. That's why I use AFCO clothing to keep me warm, dry, and protected from whatever Mother Nature wants to throw at me. My season depends on it. My career depends on it. AFCO. Any fish, any water.
Everyone, Brandon Polnick here. People always be asking me what I got tied on. And I'm like, X-Zone lures. And they're like, Brandon, why you got X-Zone lures tied on? And I'm like, let me show you why.
The bite.
Get out of there. Get out of there. Oh, yeah. Oh, it's freaking digging. Get in here. Oh, God. Giant. Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh. I think you get the point.
Let's face it, fishing electronics are no longer an afterthought. They've become a necessity. And at the Bass Tank, our experts match you with the right electronics, provide professional installation, and educate you to help maximize your catching results while providing support along the way. Because let's be honest, it's about catching, not just fishing. And when you're ready for better results, join the Bass Tank team. Visit us today on Facebook or go to thebasstank.com.
You've been waiting all week for this, and Sunline wants to make sure you're ready for it with bulk spools of all your favorite fishing lines.
That's so fun.
Bulk up with Sunline.
Pro-inspired, pro-designed. Tested and proven by legends on the water. Dominating the tournament trail for over 50 years. Everything you need, one legendary brand. Strike King.
Hey guys, Major League Fishing Pro Jacob Wheeler here with my new Signature Series line of rods with Ducket Fishing. We have my 7.2 cranking rod right here. Crankbaits can be very fickle, and having the right, having a lot of tip can be too much, and having not enough tip can, lose a lot of fish. So you really got to be careful. If there's one or two techniques that I'm really adamant about having the perfect action as a crankbait, especially like a square bill, a DT6, those medium running crankbaits in the springtime when those fish's mouth are pretty tough. That's when I'm really on top of having my actions just perfect.
All right, we are back on a Wednesday. Don't forget the Rogue Show
with Frank Scalish
tomorrow.
Guys think we were talking about the Haynes-Lambert deal, about the Waypoint. That was not it. Those guys both know Kentucky Lake so well that they both had that spot, I'm sure. This is a long time ago, completely different setting.
Was a long time
completely
ago.
different lake.
Yeah, long time ago.
Nothing was, I don't think, ever written, discussed, talked about. This probably was the first time anything was publicly ever said about it. Would you not venture to take a guess?
I don't even think the organization did a story on it, obviously.
No.
Yeah, it was kind of hush-hush.
It wasn't even hush-hush. It was literally just... that was not a good situation.
It was.
All right,
moving on. All right, it is time for our special guest on Wednesday, an Elite Series rookie. Let's go ahead and let's bring him in now. KJ, how you doing, man?
Pretty good, man. How's it going?
It's going really good. Thanks for taking time out. Your first time on BTL, and hopefully there will be many more.
Hopefully so.
All right, let's do this. A lot of people out there may not be aware of what you're about, how you got into the game, kind of a little history on KJ Queen. Why don't you throw that out there for everybody, and then we'll move on from that.
Okay, well, I first started in high school fishing. Me and my sister, we paired up together, and we won the state tournament. Then we went and won a regional tournament, and then we went to nationals. Then the next year, me and my partner Tyler Black, we won state, won regionals. Then we went and won nationals, and then got a scholarship to go fishing actually at Bethel University. Went to Bethel, qualified for 10 qualifications at the national championship, either through bass or FLW, and I fished the opens, and now I'm here at this level, so it's pretty awesome. It's awesome the way it progressed and went over the years and the experience I got to learn. So
hey man, I gotta ask, because a lot of people over the years, they say, oh, well, you just reflect on all the negative, Mark. I mean, have you ever experienced so far in your early career adversity that you've had to overcome?
Man, it's been insane. I mean, honestly, the places that we went and fished all across the country has been, very eye-opening to me, and it's very helpful for me. I've got to fish all the way up at St. Lawrence River. I've got to fish all the way in Texas. I've got to fish everywhere in between. I think it's, it's definitely going to be a helpful factor, no doubt.
The answer is no, because so the defunct website now, which is Bass Rankings. I don't know if you've ever heard of that site, KJ?
Bass Rankings, yeah.
Yeah, so it used to be. No, so it used to be like, when you're at the bar and a guy was like, well, I used to fish on tour, you'd like pull up the Bass Rankings and be like, no, you didn't. But it doesn't do it anymore. So I've combined all of your stats and literally going back, you're what, 23 now?
24.
Oh, 24. Oh, sorry. You're a veteran. Going all the way back to 2013. I mean, you fished a lot, and a lot as a non-boater. You have finished below 100th one time in your entire life.
Wow.
And we're talking like 50, 60 tournaments here. Like one time, you finished 103rd in February as a non-boater in a BFL on Lake Norman.
Lake Norman.
That's your only triple-digit That's your only triple-digit finish.
Wow.
Ever.
And that's saying something. That's my home lake. So, but you think I would know it a little bit better, but I mean, I don't know. I guess sometimes that hometown advantage would get to you a little bit, but I mean, honestly, I never really have looked at the stats like that, and that's really cool.
I wasn't asking you what happened in that. I was using it to point out that, like, dude, you've pretty much caught, and what Mark was pointing out was, from the beginning of this thing, you've caught a lot of fish consistently for a long time.
Correct. I mean, I've been doing it ever since I was little. I mean, ever since I was 7 years old, me and my grandpa, we fished the first tournament together, and I won it, and that just kind of like sparked it, and I love it. The passion and love for fishing is just unreal.
All right, you mentioned Lake Norman, and we had Andy Montgomery on yesterday, and what I'm curious about is how much has Lake Norman helped you develop your style, what you're good at, your confidence level, and obviously putting money in the bank. How important has Lake Norman been for that?
Man, Lake Norman is honestly a whole different lake compared to anywhere I've been in the country. It fishes completely different. It's a lot of spot fishing and a lot of not necessarily spotted bass fishing, but you're fishing, one fish here, one fish there. You're catching fish that's resident fish that live there. And so you got to get attuned and adapted to, how can I catch this certain fish this certain type of way. So it brings in all kinds of techniques and aspects. You got to add in the light line, your hook size, everything. Just how can I get that fish to trigger and react? And these fish, Lake Norman's a pretty clear lake, and they relatively stay shallow all year on Norman, so they get a lot of pressure. So dealing with that, you have to learn to adapt and change with the fish conditions. And I think that also helps me out whenever I go to other places in the country and see, and actually can pattern fish. I actually know, what them fish are wanting to do, kind of have a general idea, and then I can run with that pattern somewhere else.
Do you feel like we talked about Andy Montgomery, you got Thrift, you got Brian New, who's also going to be an Elite Series rookie coming out there with you. I'm thinking LaHue, Cobb. A lot of people. Not to mention the greats. I mean, dude, I'm starting to think that, everyone talks about, Alabama or East Texas or even some West Coast stuff out there, but I'm starting to think, man, that the number one hotbed for talented anglers going right now, and then you can even go back to history, Fritz and all that stuff. But, dude, the Carolinas are just kicking out guys who catch them under every single condition across the country.
No doubt. And honestly, man, when you look at it and you go to a local tournament down there, all the people you just named off, and there's more guys that show up there that's not even pro, that's just as good as them. It just makes the competition level just, tremendous. It shoots it through the roof. So whenever you show up to even just a little night tournament, these guys are showing up to night tournaments just like, dude, you got to bring your A game. If you don't bring your A game, you're going to get beat. And it's like, if you want to try and make some money, you better learn how to catch a fish.
Yeah, we didn't even name them. You throw Matt Airy in there. I mean, there's tons of different guys.
Matt, I have to ask the question. You don't have to go into detail about it, but I would think there's got to be some local rivalries there in the North Carolina area that you fish. I mentioned what takes place at Grand Lake over many, many, many years. It's got to be kind of the same situation in North Carolina, is it not?
Oh, no doubt. Definitely is. And speaking of that, as a rivalry fact, I want to be the number one North Carolina angler next year on the Elite Series. That's what my goal is.
Ooh.
There you go. See, he was listening to the previous segment.
I like that,
man. We might have to take that clip and send it to some select anglers out there.
See what some of their comments are about that clip.
I didn't even name Casey Ashley or Marty Robinson. God, it's insane. The number. All right, so along that line, we talked about it. We went to Bethel. I want to get a little bit into that later, but you did. You're buddies with Garrett and Cody Huff, right?
Correct.
And I would venture to say, with the Bethel Powerhouse, how do you guys work together? And we talked about this in the first segment as younger guys, all in college, all trying to make it. So there's no mentor-mentee relationship. You're all trying to get sponsors, trying to make the tour, trying to win tournaments. How does that work? And then talk about the trust factor. And because, we saw what Cody Huff did this year. He's insane. We saw what you did in your 8 Opens and also what John Garrett's been able to do. You the 3 hottest young guys going right now.
And honestly, man, whenever you look back at it, all the open tournaments this year, we traveled and worked together at every event this year. And, and definitely it's shown. You can definitely see what happened with all of us working together. You have that rivalry. Obviously, when you're out there on the water, you want to be the guy that's at the top. Obviously, you're always striving to be the head guy. But whenever we go out there on the water, we also break it down as a team and we help each other. We go out, kind of like what you were talking about earlier. It's not necessarily a saying, hey, I throw this bait at this spot. It's maybe be as a technique. Hey, I'm doing this certain water depth. They're in 20 foot of water on stumps on the side of the ledge or on the back side of it. We'll break down the water, and it helps us, all 3 of us out. Whenever we go out, we'll share information of how to break down the water, and then we put it all into one. And then we, basically it's kind of like what you said earlier. It's kind of, every man for himself, but it's, if somebody's down, it's definitely we're going to try and help each other out, no doubt.
So how did this, and go as deep into this as you want or not, but the Arkansas River this year is a perfect example because, I put a lot of time in that. I talked, but that is I mean, you're not just going to find schools of voracious bass on the Arkansas River out of Muskogee. John Garrett almost won the thing. Cody Huff had a top 5 in that event, and you had a 15th place finish in that event. How did you guys work together there, especially on like a spot fishery like that? Because you all couldn't just be like, hey, let's all go flip this same stretch of wood that we're getting bid on. Like, because that's a perfect example of a fishery where you would think the locals would have had a massive advantage, right, Mark?
Yeah.
And it's not an easy fishery to figure out, and you've got 2 different locks in different directions, and you guys all come in your early 20s and take a lot of money out of the pockets of guys who thought they were going to be in the top 5.
Man, honestly, that was a really interesting tournament. So it turns out John, he spent most of his practice at the lower lock on the lower lake, and he spent like almost all week practice spending down there. And I spent a little bit of time at Green Leaf Pond and in the upper lock area, and Cody did too. He's gone back and forth. By the end of practice, John was actually fishing in the upper lock, and I ended up fishing in the lower lock. We actually bounced back information during practice, and him and Cody actually ended up fishing in the upper lock, and I actually locked through and went on down to the lower lake. And I helped him out with information at where to go to, what kind of like creeks, what creeks had clearer water in them, and he helped me out with different ways of techniques of how to basically how to work your bait, and kind of like what to look for at that lower end. And I was really expecting John to fish with me down at the lower end, and he actually had a change of plans and flipped it and decided to go the opposite way, and it worked out for him. He was super close to winning that event, man. I mean, he was right there at it and had it in his grip, and I was really pulling for him strong. And honestly, when we went out there and broke down that body of water, that river, it's very big, and it's not full of bass. And whenever we have 3 different guys breaking down 3 different areas of the river and pulling it all back into one, and breaking it down, figuring out, are they on stumps, are they on the backside of a current break, are they, where that water gets bowled back, just breaking it down to where they're set up at is huge. Just not necessarily learning as much as an area, but as what the fish are relating to and how they are reacting.
So do you guys look at it as cashing a check, staying in it to qualify as a win? It's, was that a massively successful week for you guys there? And then as you continued on through all of the opens, or was it like, man, one of us could have won or disappointed? Because Jeffries and I go back and forth on this, on what is success. But, are you one of those guys that it's win or go home, or was a 15th successful for you there, even though your 2 roommates finish in the top 5?
No, definitely. I think it was definitely a successful finish, and I was rooting for them hard. I was hoping for them to be in first and second place, no doubt. And seeing them not win it, but it's kind of heartening. But I'd like to have won it myself, no doubt. But just by having a good top 10 finish, and me being in there in 15th, I think that was a very good accomplishment, and it helped their points out. No doubt. That was the points that I needed to make it onto the Elite Series, and for them, it was definitely financial-wise very, very helpful. I mean, when you're traveling fishing them opens, it gets costly, and winning that money at the end of the year definitely helped. Helped the pocket out a lot.
So KJ, talk a little bit about your dad. Talk a little bit about the importance. I mean, obviously, for those people that don't know it, he also fished the opens, and he's going to fish the opens again next year as a boater, correct?
Correct.
Because he earned the right to be able to do that. He had a great non-boater year. How important is your dad been in the evolution of your game? And bottom line, who's better, you or your dad?
Well, I mean, honestly, man, my dad has been there from day one. There's no doubt. He's like he is my biggest supporter, and I'm very appreciative of that. And he's helped me out just by me, him, and my dad ever since I was little. He's been out there. We've been on the water. Instead of going to a baseball practice or something of that nature, I was on the lake. Every second of this. Anytime I could get out on the water, we were out there. And just having him this last year go with me and break down the water, travel as a co-angler, that's tremendous. Honestly, it's having somebody to sit there and be able to bounce back ideas. You know, sometimes we'd be on the water, we would disagree with each other. You know, I'd have an idea and he'd have an idea, and be like, you know, we'd disagree, but we'd agree to disagree at the same time. We wouldn't get into no fights or no arguments. You know, it's just like, all right, let's try your idea, and then I might try my idea, and we go back and forth. But it's a team. You know, it was kind of like a team effort. But you know, all in all, he was definitely there for me, backing me 100%. But now out there on the water, I say, you know, I might outfished him just a little bit more. But other than that, you know, I 100%. He's a great dad, no doubt about that.
So is his goal to make the Elite Series now?
Correct. It is.
Wow.
So like is he fishing all 9 this upcoming year?
Well, he's just going to be fishing the 4 of them. He qualified to fish 1 region and then also 1 extra tournament. So he's just going to be fishing 4, but them boys better watch out. He's going to be bringing some heat.
Better watch out, Matthew.
What division? Eastern or Northern?
Eastern. Yep.
Well, there you have it. Huh. Hey, fill us in a little bit on the tackle business that you and your dad have going on. What's the scoop on that?
So me and him run a tackle business called Queen Tackle. It's a tungsten tackle we do in all. Here's actually one of our jigs right here. So what we do is all tungsten, and all of our jigs are hand tied, wire tied. We do shaky heads, jigs, swing heads. What's really cool is one of our football jigs, which actually is our hammerhead jig, has a rattle built inside the head of it, and a tungsten rattle in the head. One of our hammer shakes, which is one of our shaky heads, it has a rattle built inside of the head of that as well. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah. But you know, with that tungsten, I really do feel like fishing this last season, and with him being as a co-angler, it's definitely made a difference in catching fish. You know, all of our skirts, they're hand tied, wire tied, so you ain't got to worry about them falling down. You know, we make a premium product, and all of our jigs are actually coffee scented as well. So, you know, that fish goes down, looks at that lure, it hears that little bit of rattle, or it hears that tungsten clicking against the rocks. It's just going to trigger that bite, and you know, he smells that jig, he's going to hold on to it, and I feel like that's definitely key to success.
How do you get into the tungsten business? Like, I mean, I'm just saying, there's a lot of people who use it. Like, is that something your dad was in? Is that something
Well, it's just one of mine and his ideas. We come up with it. You know, a while back, a few years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, you know, tungsten jigs had come out onto the market, and you know, started getting pretty big. And you know, we kind of come up with the ideas like, hey, you know, I'm tired of using this little tungsten jig that the hook's going to bend out on me, and you know, I really love the tungsten idea. You know, having that way smaller profile, it's easier to skip. It don't get hung up nearly as much. You get the sensitivity out of it. But the problem was all the hooks would usually like straighten out on it, and you couldn't land fish on it. So we went in and designed a jig, basically, that made the best jig on the market. That's tungsten. You can skip it very well. It's got a super strong mustad hook in it, and you know, we made a premium, high quality product at you know, at a reasonable price. So
I'm researching tungsten mining. Did you know that there's 20 like elements in tungsten, but there's only 2 that are used like primarily? Wolframite and scheelite.
Scheelite.
Do you know that?
I didn't know that. No.
I didn't either.
It's like really hard to get this stuff. That's why it's
so expensive.
That's probably why it's so expensive.
Huh. Interesting.
What was I researching the other day? What was that? Some sort of mine? It wasn't tungsten, was it?
No, I don't think so. I don't remember what it was. Hey, can you remember, has anybody ever made a tungsten spinnerbait?
Yeah. I think.
Who was
no, that was titanium.
Yeah, that was Terminator.
Tungsten. I mean, at some point you just... I mean,
that's why I was asking that.
I mean, what would be the benefits of a tungsten spinnerbait other than a smaller head?
Unless you want to throw it on the riprap and not worry about it getting banged up or something. I don't know. Have you ever heard of that, KJ?
I haven't heard of a tungsten one, though, but I mean, there might be some ideas getting thrown out there about making one, though. So,
because you do like that clip-on blade deal, right?
Correct. Switchblade.
Yeah.
Basically, you can take and put it on about any different lure and make it vibrate.
Oh, they're saying it was lithium that you were looking up.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. I get off on these tangents sometimes. I'm on greatmining.com tungsten. And, yeah, it's really hard to get.
Huh.
Yeah.
You actually have to heat it up at like 5,000 degrees. It's actually high pressurized molding that goes on with tungsten. It's actually assembled together. The jig is actually assembled
Really?
because it's you can't just like melt tungsten like lead and pour it. You actually have to pressurize tungsten.
What's the biggest hunk of tungsten you've ever seen in your life? Like, does it come like a rock? Like you just like?
What, they're like gold bars?
I don't
Is
know.
that what you're talking about?
I just picture it coming like a rock, and then you go behind the alley and you're like, you got any tungsten? And he's like, yeah, I got 8 ounces. You give it to him, and then you take it into your high pressurized system, and then boom, out comes a jig and the weights. I don't know, how does that come? I would imagine it's hard to ship. I mean, you're doing the tungsten, it's obviously heavy. I mean, was a UPS guy wheel in a block of tungsten?
It's not light, that's for
How does
sure.
that work?
They are very heavy. That's for sure.
Wow.
No, seriously, how does it cut? Like, you have it like made somewhere else and then shipped into you, or do you just have like bars of
we have
tungsten?
it manufactured ourselves. We can't manufacture it ourselves, actually. So we have somebody else manufacture it for us.
Don't laugh at me, Mark. It's not a job.
no,
How do you think? How do you
I
think
just-
tungsten arrive? Does it arrive as a powder?
I have no idea. But I have this picture in my mind of this big truck just backing up to the dock, rolling off this big boulder of tungsten.
Like the what are the armored cars that you see at the bank all the time?
The Brinks trucks?
Yeah, like the Brinks tungsten truck.
Jeez. I don't know, Matt. You're Matt.
One of the things that's crazy, and I feel like in the last couple of years there's been a lot of talk about a clear path to the top level of professional fishing for young guys who want to get into it to make it all the way to the top. And dude, you are a perfect example. High school, college, opens, elite series. Did you know that was the path? Did it seem clear to you? Talk about the steps that Bassmaster has together in making the transition to each one. And if there's anything that you think could be improved on that process now that you've been through it all, and things that have made it easier for that, having all those different steps.
Man, honestly, like, whenever I was going into it, I jumped in with high school fishing, and don't get me wrong, ever since I was little, I wanted to be a professional fisherman. That's always been my dream, is to be a pro, and whenever I jumped into high school, it kind of set the stage pretty high. Some of the high school tournaments that I fished in, we had like 200, 300 boats in it, so the competition was definitely out there. We went into the college series, and them college guys, man, I'm telling you, they were stout. Whenever I actually won the Team of the Year 2019, and my lowest finish in the college tournaments that year was 22nd. And we fished like 3 or 4 different tournaments, and my lowest finish was 22nd. And them guys, I won by like 1 point or like a half a point. And it's just like the guys that I was fishing against is just unreal, the competition wise in college. And that that trained me, adapted me, and made it where that strive for that competition to win, to be at the top, was definitely there 100%. And when I jumped into the opens, I looked at it this year, and you see Christie, you see all these guys, Hackney, and it's like, man, there's some strong competition in these opens this year. And fishing against them, it's just kind of like build my confidence up. The first tournament I did well in at Toho, and it went on from there and went to Arkansas River, and the tournament trail definitely was at a higher level, no doubt. You could definitely see, compared to your like a BFL tournament or something of that nature, you're looking at over half the field. They're going to bring the heat, and there's at least over a quarter of the field that they're going to be at the top more than likely. So you're going to have to definitely bring some competition. And when I jump on in and I'm leaving this open stage and going into the elite platform, it's definitely a little nerve-wracking. But honestly, I've fished against a lot of the same guys in the opens, and I feel not necessarily confident, but I'm definitely going to go into it with my head up, no doubt.
All right, Jake in Ohio wants to know, what is the scoop on the vertical line tie on the football jig?
Vertical line tie?
Yeah.
Well, basically, I like it so you don't get hung up as much. The eye of the jig, whenever you go into, whenever you have a crevice in a rock, I'm trying to put this in perspective, but whenever you have the eye of the jig and it's sideways, that eye will actually, it'll get caught up in there. So some of our hammerheads actually have a vertical line eye on it, but the way it's shaped, the square body on it, it lets it roll through it. with the football jig, it will actually roll over the top of the rocks whenever you pull on the eye of the jig, instead of getting wedged into it.
Yeah. All right, there you have it. All right, man. What's the best part of your game, and what part of your game do you really need to work on?
So probably my best factor that I have is sight fishing. I love to sight fish, no doubt. That's my my go-to. What I need to work on probably the most is probably my cold weather fishing. Basically, wintertime type fishing. Fish are out in ditches and bait oriented fish. I'm not as good around bait oriented fish. Now break it down to summertime fishing and everything of that nature. Ledge fishing, I love doing ledge fishing, but when them fish get backed off into that wintertime bait, for some reason it gets a little hard for me to catch them. But definitely sight fishing is my strong suit, no doubt.
So you literally made the Elite Series fishing your weaknesses. Because there was one tournament in Florida, and then Arkansas River wasn't until like June, and then the rest was like cold weather in the fall.
Yeah, honestly, I really was not looking forward to the opens this year in the fall. Fall time is one of my toughest times of the year, just because it's hard to get on a consistent pattern, because fish are changing throughout the day. Every day they change due to the weather patterns. So, fish are, they're changing and adapting. What I like about sight fishing or bed fishing is the fact that I know that the fish is there. If I get that fish and catch that fish, he's part of my bag. Mm-hmm. And, so it's kind of like a confident thing as much as anything.
Hey, how you're graduated or you're don't fish for Bethel anymore. I want you to be honest on this one. How much of an intimidation factor is there when you guys roll up in the purple jerseys and all that with Bethel, with the history that you've had, with the titles that you've had? Is it similar to like when Alabama or OU or just a blue blood rolls into a different school? I mean, like, did you guys have half the field beat just because you're the Bethel guys?
Man, honestly, there's no doubt. When we would pull up to the ramp, people would turn their heads. I mean, we was definitely turning heads, no doubt. I mean, and it wasn't like we were, trying to, make people turn their heads. We were very, very polite of way, not polite. What I'm trying to say is, we held her own. We wasn't trying to be, I can't think of the word.
You're respectful and well spoken, and I've covered a lot of Bethel guys, and it's respectful and well spoken.
Correct. And we didn't try to make no rivalries or do anything of that nature at all. But whenever we showed up to a tournament, there was no doubt that we got talked about, for sure.
Do you guys do some sort of training on how to work with the media, how to handle yourself at tournaments, how to do all that? Because it seems like, I mean, not that collegiate guys as a whole, but it just, you guys always seem polished right out of the freaking gate.
I mean, I guess you could give credit to our coach, Gary Mason. He's definitely, gave us some good speech terms and helped us out along the way. And, just being there around guys that love the fish and, growing up doing that, and then being around guys that's going to the top, they're being at the top, and they're winning tournaments, they're doing interviews all the time. So basically I get to learn from my teammates, because my teammates are the guys that's at the top, doing interviews, doing podcasts, and doing things of that nature. So it's really cool. I actually get to, I'm friends with the guys that are the, the head honcho guys.
Is it hard to get on the Bethel team? And if you suck, can you get kicked off the Bethel team? That's a valid question, is it not? I mean, are there a bunch of, I would assume there's got to be a ton of people trying to get on that thing.
There is no doubt. A lot of guys that contact Gary and they try and get onto the team. And if your resume ain't good enough, or not necessarily good enough, but he definitely looks at your resume. I mean, he's going to look at how you've been, what you're fishing, your past, your history. He's going to look at your grades. That's another big factor. He looks at you as not necessarily as a just an athlete, as a fisherman, but he looks at you as a person in whole. And whenever you get all them people there together at Bethel in one hole, that's good people that can fish, that's really a huge advantage.
All right, there you see the question that's popped up. I put it on the stream there. Grip and Rip Fishing TV wants to know if there is one thing that you can go back and work on that put him behind the 8 ball when he went to a higher level. What would that be?
What I could go back and work on? I'd say, so what I could work, on the most is I really wish that I would have made a better social media platform going into college fishing and everything of that, going in with the YouTube and everything of that nature. That's one aspect for sure with the social media side. I wish I would have grown it up and made it a lot bigger, which of course I'm going to now for sure. And but one of my weaknesses that I had, or you're talking about skill-wise, fishing-wise?
I think so. I think that's what he's talking to. He may clarify it here in another post.
Yeah. But, well, you got one more follower. I followed you right before the show. So you're definitely growing. You're almost up to 2,000.
But probably one of my biggest fishing weaknesses would be at the Arkansas River and at Toho earlier this year. I missed some fish during the event that definitely hurt me a lot. I didn't have but 3 fish that second day at the Arkansas River, and I lost probably four big ones that day, and broke one off. And my deal was I couldn't quite pick up my slack as much as I needed to get all the way down. And one of the things that I actually have been working on is flipping my jig or flipping a creature bait into a brush pile, a stump, or whatever it is, and letting that fish make contact with it and picking up all the slack out of the line. Because whenever I did miss some fish, I go back on it, and you always look back at what I should have done and what I could have done. And I really do feel like if I would have picked up just a little bit extra slack, got a little bit more of the tension out of my line, or tightened up my line more, I could have got a better hook drawn into them and pulled them out of the brush.
Very nice. Do you still have a pretty good relationship with Gary Mason?
I do. I actually talked to him just the other day. They have that college tournament coming down here to Lake Norman this year, and talked to him about actually staying at the house, pulling out a camper for the guys to stay in and everything. So.
You know Brian New very well?
I do. We joke around and cut around all the time. So.
But you said you were going to beat him. Is that who you said you were going to beat at the beginning of the show?
I hope so, yeah. That's my game plan.
Well, hey, if you could do us a favor, do Matt and I a favor. We'd like to get Gary on the show. Okay. I know I met him at the Classic the last time we had a Classic, and the whole COVID thing took place, and I just kind of got scatterbrained. But please pass along that I'd like to get his contact information again and try and get him on BTL.
I will do.
Who are your top 5 Bethel anglers? Like in the Hall of Fame of Bethel bass fishing. Ooh. And you can put yourself in there if you want to. That's not braggadocious.
Well, I'd say definitely you got John Garrett, Cody Huff, Cole Floyd. Them are 3 some of the biggest sticks out there. Zach Parker, whenever I was coming in and as a freshman, he was just graduating. He was a hammer. Zach Parker was, and honestly, I gotta give some credit to one of my partner, Evan Oury. He's a stick that come from there as well. Evan has taught me a lot about fishing and ledge fishing, and he's taught me a lot about the Tennessee River. He was one of my partners whenever I was at school at Bethel. But I gotta give credit to all my partners. Dax Ewert, all of them guys. The list goes on. Honestly, I can't just name all 5, man, because there's
yeah, you can. You just did.
There's so many guys.
You just did. Who's up and coming? Is there another wave of guys that are fishing collegiate now that in 2 or 3 years we're going to be hearing about in Toyotas and Opens and Classics and everything?
Definitely. You better be watching for Dax Ewert and Jackson Staben. He's one of my really good friends. He's a heck of a fisherman. Me and him, we've spent a lot of time on the water together, and you better be watching out for him.
Dax? Like D-A-X?
D-A-X. Dax Ewert and Jackson Staben.
That's a fishing name, isn't it?
That's a cool name.
That's a fishing name.
Yeah, that's a cool name. All right, stupid question, but this is just my own curiosity because I'm not on the YouTube trail trolling around looking at everything and social
media. You don't have
media.
to troll while you're on YouTube. You can go directly to the channels you follow.
Anyway, I'm curious. Was there a facility or, for lack of a better term, a locker room for you guys that fish collegiately at Bethel?
We had a boat shed. We had a place that we could keep all of our boats at and keep our equipment at. And then we also had like a meeting room. We'd meet every Tuesday and meet up, and we talk about our schedule, our season, our classes, this, that, and another. But we'd have a meeting room that we could sit down and talk together about our seasons, what was going on, our class. Gary would definitely get on to us about our classes, no doubt. If we had to keep a 2.0 GPA to be able to fish, and that was a requirement.
You guys all live together too? Like just have a fishing house?
So that's what one of the coolest parts of it was. Whenever we went into a dorm room, so there's different parts. There's guys that have houses. There's guys that stays in the dorms. Whenever you go into a dorm room, you have a common room, and we'd have a couch, TV set up, Bassmaster playing on there. It didn't matter. We were watching some type of fishing, and then each room, there was 4 rooms, and each room had 2 fishermen in each room. And basically
that's
when we,
cool.
So yeah, that's what was one of the coolest and learning factors was for me was you go and I go to my room, I go to my my house basically. I'm surrounded by fishing 24/7. We're always talking about fishing, patterns, techniques, ways, and I feel like 100% that's helped me out a lot because not only that I just got information from being in Tennessee on Tennessee River, just local knowledge, but I've got the information from Washington, I got it from New York, Texas, Georgia, everywhere in between. These kids have come from all over, and you get a little bit of information from the West Coast, East Coast. You get a little information from everywhere, and it really helps you become a better angler. No doubt.
When you rolled around to class and stuff, I went to OU. I had Adrian Peterson in one of my classes. He was a communications major. We'd all be like, "Oh, it's Adrian Peterson." I had one of our quarterbacks in one of my group projects. Paul Thompson, remember him?
Yeah, mine was Brian Bosworth.
You had Bosworth in a class with you?
Personal finance.
Did he wear the sunglasses and stuff in class?
Yeah, he'd show up about once a week.
Really?
Yeah.
And Paul Thompson did the group project. It was shocking. Anyway, sorry, that was a complete. When you walked around the campus and stuff, was everyone did you have Bethel bass gear and everyone's like, dude, there's a bass fishing guys want to hang out with you and stuff?
The bass guys were no doubt. They do. But obviously you could tell a fisherman. You come up through with his Costa hat on, his sunglasses, his flip flops, and you could tell a fisherman, no doubt. We stuck out, but we definitely went together as a group for sure.
Are you the number one sport at your school? Be honest.
Yes, I believe 100%.
What other sports are they? Do they have a football team?
They have football. They have a really good shooting team, hockey team. They have all the sports that any other school would have. But no doubt they're definitely known for their bass fishing team.
Is it NAIA?
It is, correct.
And ACHA in hockey, I would assume.
Okay.
Yep, correct.
How about that? We know all the minor leagues.
That's just kind of how we roll, man. Sorry. Wow. Well, dude, you're a very, very impressive kid, and I know you're 23 or 24 or whatever you are. You're still a kid to me, and we have over the history of this show had numerous young kids on this show that have blossomed into superstars. So I can kind of see
you putting him. He's going to be. Is he the third one in your miles and what? You had the miles, and then you had what's his name?
Which one?
We
talked about him before the show today.
Who?
About his boat.
Who is that?
His boat. He's running the same boat.
Who?
Oh, jeez.
I literally feel like I have something wrong. I can't remember this guy's name. Gray Buck.
Gray Buck.
That's
He's
the
other
third
one,
guy. Is he the third guy in your group now?
He is the third guy.
Okay, that's cool. You remember JD, who's got the tackle shop?
Yeah.
Did you see that comment? He said he met your dad, not your KJ's dad, at Pittman Creek Dealer Show, and now he carries it in his shop in Illinois.
Yeah, here, I'll throw that up there. There's the comment from him right there.
That's awesome.
Have you got his bowling ball yet, Mark?
Dude,
because I had to follow through on my end of this stuff.
We're in transition right now. All right, we're in transition. There's a lot of transition in models and distribution, and there's been, just like the tackle business, there's been disruptions. So, yeah, I'm still not forgotten, JD. Not forgotten. All right, what else, man? Sorry. I thought you were going to ask another question. Hey, several people on the instant feedback, they want to know, what is the one stop that you're looking forward to the most this year?
Probably the Pickwick tournament in March. That's going to be one I'm looking forward to the most. And I know I said that sight fishing is my strong suit, but that time of year on Tennessee River, I've had a lot of experience fishing the last 5 years on Tennessee River, and I feel like the fish are going to be doing a little bit something different there. that time of year than they normally would be with a TVA. You know, as they were having it in June, the fish would be on ledges, but I feel like they're going to be mixed matched up and doing something a little different, and I'm hoping I'll be able to get onto them.
You talked to like as Brandon, any of those guys like reached out to you? I mean, he was fishing the Elite Series when you were in middle school. That's how long Brady's been around.
I have a little bit. I've talked to Patrick some. Patrick Walters, me and him keep.
Oh, how do I leave out Patrick Walters? He's like one of the biggest Carolina guys.
Yeah.
Gosh, they just keep rolling. But I mean, like you're cool with those guys. I mean, it's not like oh my gosh, I'm fishing against them exclusively now.
No. I mean, I'm good friends with Shane Lineberger. I'm good with Shane LaHue. Hank Cherry, Matt Airy. The list goes on. I'm good buddies. I'm good buddies with all these guys. You know, so I fished against them ever since I was little. So it's going up against them in competition. It's gonna be like, what's up, buddy? I'm gonna try and kick your butt today. So it's kind of like. It's kind of like it's good, friendly competition, no doubt. I feel definitely not out of the loop, no doubt at all.
So. Rookie of the Year title, qualifying for the Classic, making money. What's the goal?
You just named all three of them right there.
If you could only do one, if you could only make the Classic, win Rookie of the Year, or make $100,000 in earnings, which one are you picking?
I'd like to make the Classic and win the Classic. That's what I'd like to do the most.
Ooh,
but if I couldn't do that, it would be Rookie of the Year. I like to be Rookie of the Year, no doubt.
Yeah.
I like to come into it with a ball of fire and make it to the top.
It'll be a heated race this year.
Very nice.
Because you also have Matt Robertson in there.
Yeah. It's going to be fun to watch. Several people want to know, do you have a title sponsor? And if you do, who is it?
Queen Tackle. Queen Tackle is my title sponsor. And then beside Queen Tackle is Jinko Fishing. They're they're co-sponsoring with me. I also have Nitro Boats, Prime One, Burt Mortuaries. I have Buck and Bass, which is one of the nicest rain suits out there on the market. Check them out. And I also have some other local sponsors too, that Shannon Cleaning Restorations, and I have Allison White Property Management. They're helping me out also, which are just local guys. But my main prime one is Queen Tackle, no doubt.
Did you say a mortuary?
Yes, it is. But so so here's a little thing behind that. So it sounds a little eerie, but so my grandpa actually, he just passed away this last Christmas. And Burt Mortuaries, they're going in with me, and they're doing a deal where they're putting they're helping me out and put a decal that's going to be on the front of my jersey, and it's going to be on the side of my boat, and it's going to be in loving memory of Pawpaw Queen. And so it's really cool. And honestly, it truly is. It's really cool that I get to represent him, because he's the guy that's taught me everything. My dad, me and him and my dad, we've been on the water ever since I can remember growing up, and to be able to put him on the side of my boat, it's really cool.
That is cool.
Was he? You said he passed away recently?
He did. He actually passed away just right before Christmas.
So he knew that you qualified for the Elite Series.
He did. He got he got sick right. He actually caught COVID, and caught it right as I just qualified to make the Elite Series.
Wow,
that's cool.
So he was super excited for me. So it was awesome. Good deal.
All right, very nice, man. Final thing, a lot of people want to know, if they want to get some of those jigs that you showed, what do they have to do? Where can they go? How do they get them?
Check them out on queentackle.com and use all caps KJ Queen 20 and get 20% off on your order.
All caps.
All caps KJ Queen 20.
That's a good deal. 20% off.
Mm-hmm. What's your Instagram handle, since you got to work on that now too?
It's KJ Queen Fishing.
There you go. You gonna just work on all that stuff yourself and learn that whole side of it, or are you gonna hire a professional?
I'm gonna try and do it myself and learn. I got some buddies that's kind of playing with it a little bit. That's gonna help me out. So hopefully I'm gonna be able to hop on.
It's board. Interesting because these guys are young guys who are all up with the technology and stuff, but also old school in a way to where you don't see a lot of that stuff from any of that kind of group. I mean, Cody Huff posts some stuff a lot, and Garrett will, but just as far, I mean, it's you guys focus on fishing, catching fish, patterns, time on the water.
Correct.
Yeah. All right, man. We're doing a post-game show after the final day of the Elite Series this year, so we'd love to see you on there.
I hope to be on there, no doubt.
Yeah, that's cool stuff right there. All right, Matthew, anything else?
No, that's
KJ?
it. Thanks, man. Thanks for putting up with some of those
All right.
crazy questions I had today.
I thought they were good. I appreciate it, guys.
All right, man. Best of luck to you, and very excited to see what you do this year on the Elite Series, one of the rising stars. All right, man. Be safe.
Thank you.
All right, see ya. All right. Very impressive, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's got his act together. Obviously, has had an enormous amount of support and help from his dad and from his family. Definitely need to get the Bethel coach on this show.
We had the coach for McKendree on, right?
Yeah, I think so.
And then I also went down and filmed an In the Dorms episode with Dallas Baptist, probably 5 years ago now, which was very similar to the situation that they had there, with fishing houses, and they had a boatyard with the guys, and there was jerseys in the hall right next to the baseball and hockey jerseys or fishing jerseys and stuff like that.
When you were in school, and granted, it's quite some time ago, but when you were sporting around with the fishing hoodies and stuff like that at the University of Oklahoma, anybody ever say anything to you?
Yeah, like if you wore a fishing so there's the schools are different, like as far as licensing and stuff. When this first came around, a lot of the schools like OU and stuff, you could use their logos. It was considered a club sport. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so we would have like with the OU logo and bass fishing and stuff, and like people would lose their minds over it. Unfortunately, not like fellow students, but like old guys who fished. So we made a little money that way. But yeah, I mean, you have an OU fishing hat or something like that. No one had ever seen it because it was brand new back then. And now it's got to the point where sometimes you can't even call them Sooners, and it's a weird logo deal. And
is Kenyon Hill still the coach?
I have no idea.
When's the last time that you spoke with anybody on the OU team? Years?
No, a year ago. So I mean,
Really?
every once in a while.
Do they ever ask you to get involved or donate money or whatever?
Why would they ask me to get involved? Dude, I'm a cautionary tale.
Because
I'm a cautionary tale.
You
Mark.
are a figurehead.
I'm a cautionary
excellence.
tale. I know that one of the girls who was on the OU team beat my spotted bass record at Lake Thunderbird, and I'm still bitter about it.
Kenyon probably.
It's because they misweighed it at the. They misweighed my lake record at the store.
Oh, the scale was
yes.
off.
It was a.
I remember that.
It was a 210. It was 2 pounds, 10 ounces. And she refused to admit what the format the scale was in, it went down as
livid,
as a 2.10, which is barely over 2 pounds.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Good dude, though, man. Definitely want to see how this season plays out. Definitely in the running for a Rookie of the Year. But the Rookie of the Year race is going to be fun to watch, Matt.
100%.
Yeah. All right, what else? I'm not going to end with basketball talk in case anybody
You're
wants
tempted
leave
to,
early.
though.
No, I'm not. I think that was a valid opening to the show. It was a big deal, man. Really was.
Yeah, is that the biggest win you've had as a coach?
Yeah, no doubt. And it is the first time, and we were talking about this last night, in like
basketball again,
20-something years that we should be and better be ranked in the top 10.
So run through that offensive system that you were running again.
Offense or defense?
It's a joke.
Oh, sorry. You're just giving
Are you
going to
get some of your old school rogues out for tomorrow, too, to flash them in front of the camera?
Yeah, I'm going to try.
Because you are the one who got me into it. Do you remember the first time I ever caught a fish on a jerkbait?
It was at Grand Lake.
And I had moved from, I'd have been 2009, 2010, maybe. And it's only, it would have probably been, it was only 12 years ago. And you had given me a handful of rogues. Yeah. And I remember thinking, why? And I was coming from Central Illinois people, just remember that. Where you got 6 inches of visibility and 7 bass in the lake. Yeah. And typically don't fish when it's that cold. I remember thinking, why would a fish eat a piece of plastic that's sitting motionless in the water. And you kept, you were telling me about getting it down there and all that. And I remember I went out, and I went out for like a year, probably didn't catch anything on them. But you'd give me a handful, and then I was practicing for Bass Nation.
Mm-hmm.
And it started snowing during the practice real early in the year on March.
Yeah.
And it was flurrying. Not like a Jim Morton buzzbait snow, but just spitting snow. Yeah. And I went down this row of docks, and I think I caught like 9, and they were slacklining it. Like, you get it down past the corner of the dock, and it sit there and it just go, dunk, and start swimming off. And I just remember just being like, that's the coolest bite ever. And I've been like massively hooked on the jerkbait ever since then.
Yeah. So you do not want to miss tomorrow's show with Frank Scalish, the Rogue Show, and then obviously if you can't make the live show, make sure you check out the replay on BassZone.com and on YouTube, and if you want to listen to the audio portion, obviously on the podcast. Hey, folks, by the way, I haven't said it this week, but please, it helps us out immensely if you're listening to us on iTunes. Go in, give us a rating, and do a review for us. I'm getting ready to ramp up. You remember last year I had a little prize deal.
You gave away a 12-inch Lowrance.
I did.
What do you got this year?
I don't know. I may do the same thing, but I'm going to look at the stash that I have and see what we can give away for the people that are on all 3 aspects, the Bass Zone, YouTube, and on the podcast. So we'll go from there. Let's see here. Looking at the list. I think that's it, Matthew, for today. Oh, real quick, and I'm going to do a little research on it. There was a post on the instant feedback. I had no idea about this. It was from Andy in Indiana, and he said that the NBC Sports Network is done after 2021. And that's huge.
I didn't know about that either.
Yeah. So let me do a little research on that and see what I can come up with. But that affects a lot of sports, and said they're going to focus more on USA Today. I did kind of glance at it.
NBC has started telling distributors and leagues that it's planning to shut down NBC Sports Network by the end of 2021.
Yeah.
The network's plan is to shift its biggest programming, like the NHL, NASCAR, and the Premier League, to the USA Network.
Interesting. So let me see if I can do a little more research on that. Tomorrow's the final day. I'm giving them till tomorrow. Still waiting for a comment from the PR agency for White River Marine. Still no comment on the pro staff situation or the infamous $1 million team trail team event that's going to take place sometime in 2021. So going to follow up with phone calls today, and then see if I get an answer tomorrow. That's it.
Good stuff. Thanks.
Crappie fishing?
No.
No, not at all?
No, I've got like 25 days before I leave for the Open.
You should be locked in, man. Dialed in already.
That's going to be here before you know it. There's no time for crappie fishing. No time for fun.
I can't believe you just said that. All right, folks, back tomorrow with Frank. I want to thank KJ Queen. Great show today. Best of luck to him. And Rogue show tomorrow. Can't wait. That's it. We're out of here.